Hello, welcome back. My name is MX64 and today is gonna be a special video as I'm gonna be actually digesting towards the character that happening in Tokyo Xtreme Racer 2025. You see that this game definitely has like one of the most iconic characters, and I cannot wait to actually digest on every rival, more specifically the Wanderer and the boss, because this video is actually taking so long to actually make. And I really invest to actually dive into those amazing and iconic boss in the Wanderers in this 2025 game that returned after such a long time by Genki. So without further ado, I hope you're actually gonna enjoy my video about, reviewing the lore of the character of the Wanderer boss in Tokyo Xtreme Racer 2025. We start off the lore by Rolling Master, aka named Satoru Kobayakawa. He is actually one of the older brother of Akira Kobayakawa that actually formerly was actually a teammate in the Rolling Guy team, the team that actually driving the AE Hachiroku. Eventually, I think after the first game, they eventually become a separation, and Tetsu Akira Kobayakawa is decided to like running the team by itself and always appearing in many different TXR games, such as even into the Drift spin-off obviously. And with that, they still actually related together, but they want to be separated. That's why Akira Kobayakawa running the Rolling Guy legacy even until 2025. Like, I don't know, this team is keep always appearing in every single TXDR. The design of the Rolling Master and the Rolling Guy is definitely based on the Importuno challenge, with the Rolling Guy with the white color and the black one with the Satoru Kobayakawa right here. And he actually working in the professional racer also into the F1. Nonetheless, this team is one of my favorite, especially between the Kobayakawa brother in the lore of this game. Now we're moving on to the second boss, Toji Sakamoto, working as a futon manufacturer employee and one of the former member of the 13 Devil in the previous game. Now this guy is definitely has some history, especially back in the olden days in the Toge and also in the Shutoko. Like here, for example, he actually called his name Kiriji Sakamoto in the RX-7. Despite that, he actually have a grudge a little bit with some of the rival and the member of the 13 Devil in the past, and he definitely always care about the look of his car, or whatever, if it's RX-7 of the Sylvia. You can also see him appearance as well, mostly in the Setsuko with the Nissan Sylvia S13, or this thing in the Sweet Rage Supremacy where he actually appeared with a 180 SX. Apart from that, he always wandering around the Setsuko and always care about the looks of his menacing looking jackknife car. And now in the 2025, he definitely glow up with the brand new Subaru BRC. Apart from this day, he definitely really getting a pulse with the new generation of Swift Emperor running around in the Setsuko this day. Now let's go to the third boss right here, Bloodhound, real name Shiro Sasaki, one of the owner of the beverage manufacturer. You can say that this guy is kinda like the bro and one of the cool guy basically around, the member of the 13 Devil. In the history of Tokyo Xtreme Racer, he has been around driving mostly a saloon car, to be honest, like the Aristo, and even in the second game where he driving a freaking BMW Mercedes touring car. In the Tokyo Xtreme Racer Drift, he also driving some unique saloon like this car where I race against, which is a Toyota Ferosa. But eventually he come back into the one of the racing in the Setsuko with the cool looking Toyota Aristo right here in a purple Halloween looking style color. He definitely really likes some gloomy purple color that really match for his really funky looking guy. He also kinda like a little bit awareness of how the speaking is actually going downhill around the time of the Importuno challenge era or the SBX. Eventually he come back in the 2025 with the Toyota GT86, and as he also watching the new generation grow up, he definitely wants to actually see the race keep going while also still racing with the new generation and also flourish the older generation as well. Now that is basically the story about Bloodhound. I gotta say that he's definitely one of the cool guy behind the purple looking machine, and definitely really want to see how the new generation can compare with the older generation and want to keep that legacy in that coolness that he wants from the beginning of that. Now let's move on to the next boss, which is Midnight Rose, the real name Kiyomi Kawagoe. Now you can say she is pretty much one of the glamorous looking woman here that always driving a glamorous car back in the older days where he drive a GTO and even a freaking, for some reason, a Lotus for a while. But now he's mostly wandering around in a purple machine such as the Nissan 370Z in this modern era. She also has a relationship because at the beginning or like the olden era, she actually a teammate with the Cupid Arrow that right now led by the Enchanting White Fairy, which is the team that right now using Mitsubishi Eclipse. In the Toge, she also drive a Mitsubishi GTO and also carrying the 13 Devil legacy here. as he's still wandering around, whatever in the Toge or in the Shutoko. Now in the Shutoko, he's mostly driving a GTO like I said before with her pink looking car. Always keep that amazing glamorous style, and even when she actually gets a scratch, she fixes her car and always wants to become one of the best, while also want to become one of the most glamorous person in the Shutoko. In the 2025, she actually appeared once again with the enchanting white fairy. She's still a friend, although right now they are actually becoming a frenemy because they are a separate team anymore. And Midnight Rose in her really olden age, like 40-year-old, just like my mom actually want to see the new generation actually flourish, especially for a female racer here. So they are kind of like, you know, making some kind of like a secret alliance for female racers to become best and show that not only male can actually drive fast, but also female can drive fast and glamour at the same time, and that's Midnight Rose. Up next, we have Setsuko Kuroe, one of the legendary street racers once known as the 13 Devil, a mysterious woman who fills her car with a sense of flower and always exudes the melancholic aura. She always admired driver that using the FR engine in his car, obviously. And as you can see, her car throughout the years is always a Nissan Silvia, from the S14 to the S15 in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer 3, also as well in the Street Supremacy as well. She also drive a Honda S2000 also in the C1 GP, and back again with Nissan Silvia S15 in the Drift spin-off. You can see this is the race between me, and now she finally using the Mazda RX-8 and finally also enhance this Mazda RX-8 again in the 2025. In fact, I want to ask about Setsuko, why you always admire and have that gloomy angel aura, Setsuko?
Well, that's an interesting line of questioning. As for why I have a penchant for FR cars, let's just say I have a weakness for their responsiveness. As for why I'm seemingly always gloomy, well, life has a way of casting its shadows, doesn't it?
Good answer, my waifu Setsuko Kuroe. Good. Now let's go to the Bastard chapter. The Phantom 9 member Crimson Boy Masamichi Kurosaki. He is one of the most model and also one of the racer that actually appeared since the very first game in the Import Tuner Challenge. In the 2025, he drives two cars actually, which is a Livork and a car that he's mostly used, which is a Nissan 350Z. He kind of have that, you know, kind of like a really preppy looking attitude of a boy that actually want to tease the newcomer. That he also actually kind of like mocking at the beginning, but eventually gain some respect once you actually can race with him. Definitely probably one of the nicest, but also kind of like one of the sleaziest member of the Phantom 9. He definitely delivered that really mocking, but also really nice attitude, also from a boy from a Phantom 9. Now moving on to the Golden Hanya, probably the older member of the Phantom 9 Kurosaki brother, Masanori Kurosaki, driving a Livork and also a freaking Fair Lady seat. Moving on also with the Iron Old Man with Masakozu Kurosaki as a lawyer, driving an Impreza and a Skyline R34 in the modern game. Once again, the Kurosaki brother has become a very striking attitude in one of the boss from the previous game, the Shutoko Battle X here. Golden Hanya was actually previously known as the Golden Wisdom, and Iron Old Man is always known as the Iron Old Man. This trio is probably one of the really interesting brother relationship, you know, as they actually want to challenge the rival to become one of the best with their cocky looking attitude, while also still say that they are actually kind of like one of the best member of the Phantom 9, battling also with the other three team member also. But in the 2025 game, they also kind of have like a really sneaky attitude of actually baiting the player to actually challenge them. Are they actually worth it? Race against a Snake Eye, which is of course the leader of the Phantom 9. And that is basically their goal, their real goal, to actually challenge the boss. Can they actually race with them, or can they deserve the player to actually race with them? Apart from that, these three brother is definitely giving them a really bossy, but also with their cool looking style attitude to actually race and prove that can player actually worth it to race against the Phantom 9, a really menacing team led by 9 drivers, but mostly the Kurosaki brother, the one that actually show with their cool looking car, which is Nissan Skyline and the Fair Lady Z and that Nissan 350Z. You can kind of say they are definitely the Nissan team, you know. But turns out in this era, Phantom 9 is also have like a separation leader, to which if it's Snake Eye or actually Namahagi is actually one of the Phantom 9 leader in this 2025 version, you know, because both of them is still wandering around. That Kurosaki brother is actually kind of confused to which player actually get baited for. But apart from that, the Kurosaki brothers actually managed to bait player to actually, draw attention to the Phantom 9 leader. Moving on to Kenichi Miyama, as known as Dark Tengu, one of the member of the Phantom 9, and he worked as a dentist outside the racing obviously. Once again, he's a recurring character appeared in the previous game, but mostly driving a Subaru Impreza. In the modern era, he's using the Impreza VAB STI, although that is not actually an Impreza. Besides as a dentist, he also really like to, collecting some figure. Apart from that, he definitely wants to drive very aggressive to get a win. Up next, we get the Sandstorm Emperor Yoshihiro Ashihipe working as a university professor. He is definitely also one of the members of the Phantom 9 driving a Land Evo X. Beside that, we also have the Dirty Fox Kazumi Amachi working as a ballerina with that cool blue looking RX-7. Also another member of the Phantom 9, we have also Crazy Monkey, a stylish cowboy looking guy working as a teacher, Sutomu Shiraishi. Now this trio is once again appearing from the previous game, especially from the Setsuko Battle X, driving pretty much the similar car except for the King Sandstorm right there, driving a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 9 at the beginning. But eventually they come back again in this modern game driving probably the latest Land Evo, which is the Land Evo X, and definitely wants to challenge the rival as well. You can kind of see that the Phantom 9 always have that kind of like a wonky badass style, kind of like wants to representing them as one of the actual king in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer Lore, because in the previous era it was like the 13 Devil and the Kingdom 12. As you can see in this chat, you can definitely tell that this trio is one of the disciple of the Snake Eye, and once again this is the Snake Eye that's still kinda ambiguous because this is the 2025. It's not probably the Snake Eye that you think from the previous game, the Setsuko Battle X. Apart from that, they still actually have their attitude style there, like Dirty Fox with that kinda like a shy but also kinda like a sleazy fiction style. Sutomo obviously with a kind of like a funky style here, and the Yoshihiro with that kind of like a bad attitude with a shake, as one of the university professor. Apart from that, this trio definitely deliver player kind of like a menacing vibe, but also kind of like a badass, also being mocked in the racing. Eventually you can beat them at the end to actually show that you are worthy race against Snake Eye soon. Now another member from Phantom 9, Silent Cassiopeia, with her real name Wei Yinsai, which is actually has a job as a hotel owner with the 350Z. He definitely actually affiliated with the Phantom 9 but has a different goal and actually under a different leader. In the previous two teams we also has that as well, but now with his 350Z he actually has a goal to actually become one of the best driver behind leader of the Skull Bullet. Beside Cassiopeia, we have Deep Blue Sniper with the Subaru Impreza Buckeye with her real name Wasehito Kazaima. Casino manager in the working, but he actually a former rally driver. That is the reason why he actually using a Subaru Impreza. Yeah, you can see in the Import Tournament Challenge he using a freaking Subaru Impreza Hawkeye, but now he actually go back to the classic Buckeye. Definitely call a sniper because he actually beat the rifle silently. And then finally we have Akane Sasahara driving a Nissan Skyline R32, a jewelry designer that once again driving narrowly to actually mindlessly don't want to do a body contact with her driving style. Once again affiliated with the Skull Bullet with her R32, and yes, you can kind of say that she definitely delivered that glamour driving style of the female racer, but obviously for one goal to praise Skull Bullet. And yes, now we definitely come to the man himself, James Begins, aka known as the Skull Bullet, owner of the company of himself, obviously the Begins company. He definitely wants to actually try to kind of like monopolize the Setsuko scene, because Setsuko scene is definitely dominated by the Japanese, but now he actually kind of think that there is some kind of like a capitalist that actually he can actually pick it up from his company. That's why he definitely wants to blend and definitely wants to get some money from the new kind of like looking of the Setsuko battle, from even the older game of the Setsuko Battle X with his Lancer concept to actually the new modern era of the Setsuko Bat. Now from all the Phantom 9 trio that we actually encounter, from the Kurosaki brother to the Three Funky trio to the Begins trio, you can kind of say that Phantom 9 is always wanna crush or whatever racer happen, but always in like different way. First one is to prove that they are one of the best brother behind the name of the Phantom 9. First, also the second is because there's like a funky trio of it, and this guy is definitely wants for the profit of himself, but also kind of like flourish the Setsuko battle in the mainstream world. Now finally we have Naoki Fujimaki, aka known as Namahagi, but that was actually his first nickname, because in the older game he actually known as the Purple Meteor. In fact, he actually one of the main character of the very first Tokyo Xtreme Racer back in 1999. But around the first game until I think the PSP, he's driving the Nissan Skyline known as the Purple Meteor. But eventually around the 2007 of the Import Tuner Challenge in the SBX era, he definitely wants to change his attitude from that classic style with known as the Namahagi obviously. But he still delivered that old style driving style, you know, that actually matched white charisma, I guess because they are kinda old age. But also they want to tell and they want to actually teach the new generation that actually this is how you drive in Shutoko back then. In the Shutoko Battle X, he drive a Supra A70, but obviously now he upgrades to the iconic Supra Mark IV. Definitely wants to give that new generation mixed with the old style driving of the Phantom Knight. And now we have Mitsue Hayashibara, aka as the Midnight Cinderella, Japanese attorney with an American top wireless. She always have that really amazing aura of the glamour driving towards the RSC. She's battling as form of communication and believe that if they race side by side, they will eventually be able to speak the same language. You can kinda say that she is also such a waifu, especially back in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer X. I see a certain YouTuber actually also waifuing her as well. But apart from that, she always have that amazing aura with that Mazda RX-8. In the older games, she actually used Mazda RX-7 before that. And in this game, she always becoming such a nice guidance towards the story. In fact, Mitsue, why you always like to speak in the language of racing?
As translator, the Shutoko is such amusing to understand what racing. Doesn't matter what occupation or where they're from, we can understand where the form of racing to fulfill their goals. And that's why we race for our sake around here.
Such a good answer from Mitsue Hayashibara herself about why we're racing around this amazing Shutoko battle. All I can say is from these two Mazda RX-8 that we just passed in the beginning, they are definitely giving us a present. So yeah, is there a final word from you two, you know?
Keep racing there, and you will find the true meaning of racing at Shutoko and understand them.
I hope he doesn't feel hard race against me, Racer at Shutoko.
So after that amazing waifu that we get in the beginning, now we're actually moving on to unshakable Roima, named Daigo Kaneyama. And also we have Lucifer Otsuka, return again after a long time, real name Kazuchi Otsuka as a club manager. Then of course we finally have the trio, Still Hard with Atsuya Takenaka, real name as the club owner. You can say that this trio is definitely have like a urge, you know, especially back then he was one of the older member of the trio that actually supremacy back in the old day in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer 2 and also even the Drift sequel as well. You can kind of say that they are definitely one of the trio that actually deliver some kind of like a race, especially with how they look actually, you know. This trio is actually kind of like a bro actually. With Still Heart, Atsuya is actually one of the men that actually discipled these two, you know, Shitar Kaneyama and Kazuchi Otsuka obviously. Now fun fact, Otsuka actually around the young age, you know, around the TXTR was actually have like a crush with Melancholy Angel, Gloomy Angel, my waifu, you know. But of course Gloomy Angel is kind of like refused that and don't want to become it. And that is why the reason that this trio is actually kind of like intrigued with the new generation of the new era of the Shutoko driver and actually wants to challenge us to become one of the best right here in right now obviously. Kind of nice to actually see that this trio is actually still flourish with their pink, black and also one of the blue car in this new generation era, you know. And I gotta say for myself, man, that the return of this trio is definitely very welcoming with the Subaru Shitar Kaneyama here, as known as the Ryoma. And now the S2000 of the Kazuchi Otsuka is kind of like toned down from the menacing jet looking from the TXDR2. And probably one of the most funniest looking is definitely Atsuya Takenaka, you know, the Steel Heart. They're returning in the simple looking pink Supra that still kind of like look menacing but also chill at the same time. Now we're moving on to another iconic 13 Devil member here. We have Dying Star Seita Ozomi as a pachinko parlor manager with the GTO. And then we have Kenji Naito with the RX-7 as a pursuit tail gunner. Definitely have some history back then. And then also we have Akiko Ogata, also known as the Shadow Eye. Definitely a sleazy but also badass woman in the Toyota Supra right there. And we have a return of the Honda NSX man. We know Yurohei Mishima or Kijima back then, you know, with the journalist. In the older game, you can kind of say, especially in the TXDRG2, they also try to like ace up their style in the Toge right here with the tail gunner driving an RX-7. And also we have the Sitar, you know, the Dying Star actually driving that car. And of course we have the Akiko Ogata herself that actually previously have a Toge history driving a Supra A70. Now let's see how they look in the modern era definitely. And also this is a nice return welcoming of the Honda from of the Toge now actually come back to the Sutoko scene. Now you can kind of say that Yohei is definitely becoming such a diligent, especially now he becoming a journalist, and this trio in the return of the 2025 actually have some kind of like a grudge with us and also with many different rivals that they think they like each one of them actually being worthy as one of the rival for Jinte. But of course the appearance of you, the player, is definitely, you know, kind of like grudge us, especially with the tail gunner actually talk about the backstory where he actually talked with the Bloodhound as well. I guess you can kind of say that Bloodhound is actually becoming much more mature. Meanwhile, this trio is still think that, ooh, I'm the best, but also like this woman is also think like, ooh, I'm also the best that actually race with the Swift Emperor later soon. And also Dying Star is definitely right here chilling out. You can kind of think that he probably like, if I want to be the best, I actually have to interrupting these two actually that kind of actually have a history to become one of the best driver there. But of course, the Dream Spirit or the Dream Cloud definitely giving us the taste of the medicine of the Sutoko, returning once again with the glorious NSX right there, Honda NSX. And then of course we have Tail Gunner right here. Once again, it's kind of like upgrading from the classic, the FC back then, into the much more modern looking FD from him, you know. And of course we have the Dying Star right here, probably one of the most stylish blue looking car, just chilling out with the Mitsubishi GTO. And we kind of also don't forget the appearance of the Shadow Eye with much more kind of like menacing eye looking sleazy badass style in the Toyota Supra Mark IV. Now we're moving on to one of the final rival from the older game, Raito Miyakawa, also known as Crimson Devil. You can kind of say without no doubt that this guy definitely likes Gundam. I mean, every car that he drives definitely have that Gundam or Char character, you know, like this one in the PSP where he drive with a freaking Nissan Skyline with a really menacing body looking, you know. And also I think in the Import Tuner Challenge where he also drive the Subaru Impreza with a really thick looking body cam, you know, body kit right there. These guys definitely have like a really interesting chemistry, especially with Cinderella past midnight right here, you know. Now definitely Raito thinks that he actually one of the best driver, and especially when he actually owning some really menacing car that actually prove that if you want to race with the Jinte or with a really faster driver right there, you actually have to prove yourself that you actually worthy to can actually beat the true Crimson Devil. Even though right now his car is not Crimson anymore and actually changed to like Crimson, you know, Crimson Gold I have to call it. But hey, his Subaru VAB still looking very stylish and also kind of like uncanny with that aura right there. After you actually gracefully beat him, he definitely accepted the defeat and obviously like take him back to this young age. But of course, this guy definitely kind of feel gutted that the new beaten one, the one that actually beat Jinte in the previous years ago, kind of like walk away and definitely want the new generation to actually face up the new challenge. And speaking about new challenge, now we are entering the new rifle that appeared in TXR 2025 alone, starting with Mako Oya. Her nickname is Transref, and you can definitely tell from her bio that she is definitely a reference to a certain character from a certain series, especially when she actually mentioned that back in the past she actually racing together with her co-driver, but eventually she become independent, you know, try to race in the racing world, but eventually now ended up working in the salesperson but still racing around the Sutoko. Yes, this is also a reference also because in the previous game in the TXDR2 we have a similar name, Masayo Saito, which is also another reference to, you know, Mako Sato from Initial D. And then finally we have Shigeru Achoki, known as Playful Gentleman driving a Mazda Atenza or Mazda Speed 3. Her real occupation is actually a voice actor and he definitely really have that kind of like a gentleman and really flamboyant driving an FF, but he still deliver like a super speed battle, you know, to his rival obviously, you know, embodying an Interneter spirit and also badly attached corner with their entertaining gap maneuver. Now this duo is definitely becoming your first stepping stone towards the new era and the new generation race right here, with Mako Oya driving a Daihatsu Copen, and of course with this guy, Playful Gentleman, driving the Mazda Speed Atenza 3. Now these two pair is actually not actually a freaking couple, but they actually have like a really intention towards the new rifle. Not only you that actually stepping stone up the way into the top of the new generation racer, but also they have attention with Eternal Polaris, a certain racer that actually kind of have like a mysterious vibe, but definitely draw attention to many different rifles, including these two actually. So who is Eternal Polaris? Well, you will know that later on. Now we're moving on to another stylish 2 new rifle from the TXR 2025, starting with Shua Strong. His name is Taisei Kai, working as a demolition worker. This guy definitely likes to drive fast and carry a massive soda, carrying a 2 liter in his baggage. Definitely, he definitely likes to drive fast and flat out with top speed. Mostly is the #1 priority. But of course, we also cannot forget his favorite bro, every little bit warrior. Her real name is Masaru Yamaguchi and he's a radio MC. Definitely have like a affiliation with Playful Gentlemen, as like they are known in the voice acting. Now this guy is definitely much more stylish with the Subaru BRC, naming his car Kiritsumo, and definitely kind of like really like praise from Eternal Polaris from drawing his car to become much more stylish right there. You can kind of tell that these two guys is definitely one of the most stylish and the most happiest bro in the racing competition of the Setsuko here, with their car looking so much stylish than everyone else, obviously, you know. And their attitude is definitely kind of like one of the nicest, you know, of all the racer here, you know. Like they actually just like wanna jam with you, you know, welcoming the new racer that actually draw attention. And of course, we cannot forget that these two also have some kind of like attention with the, you know, upwards of the certain girl named Eternal Polaris, you know. Definitely draw attention once again to these two, obviously, you know. And even every little bit warrior is definitely really like to listening the story, just like me actually, really likes to telling you the story of this amazing TXR lore. Get it? Now we're moving on to one of the series rival here. We have Rising Seaman. His name is Minato Setaoki, working as the Maritime Self-Defense Force. And he's definitely reminiscing about his hometown along in the Bayshore shoreline. His native Hakata dialect and large build him make him intimidating. His catchphrase, "The wind is my ally." He focused on aerodynamic of his car, achieving the excellent stability with his Subaru BRC right there to definitely giving him a victory from anybody else. Next up, we got the Reese Man, Tornado of Love. His real name is Hiroaki Ikemura, a capoeirista who fell in love with capoeira while starting now works right as a PL. His skillful footwork in the dancing is definitely applied to racing with his car. High grip and focusing on enhancing the suspension, always hitting on women at the parking area. Definitely really delivers from his stylish looking Subaru right there. And then finally at last we have Rumor Writer, probably one of the most really menacing and flamboyant here. His real name is Nicole Beaudry, working as intelligent agents. Her true identity is that he is a foreign spy who has come to Japan after obtaining information about important figure in certain country secretly arrived. You know, while he's working as a spy, he also like do some racing, you know, never lets target her escape, applying intense pressure on her battle opponents with bold pushes, don't shy away from contact, and her car is also equipping some really sleazy tool. I mean, if you already played this game, you already know what kind of tool that she actually used, you know. And I will actually explain that in the later on story, you know about that. Now, basically, when you're racing up against them, you're actually gonna race them one by one, like this one with the Rising Seaman, Subaru BRZ, definitely with the new kind of looking car from Hakata. And then of course, we got the Kyushu Man, a really race but also funky looking pink Subaru right there, named Tornado of Love. And then finally, we have this woman, yeah, this woman. If you already played TXR 2025, you gotta be careful with this woman. She doesn't have a lot of crazy trick, but I'm gonna spill to you. She has a trick, you know, spraying some smoke. The appearance of you is definitely drawing some attention to all racers, even if they are actually from far away, right here, you know. Like Rising Seaman, Tornado of Love, Rumor Writer, they came out from Hakata and Kyushu, you know, just only to see how amazing that Setsuko has been around throughout the years actually. Especially in this new generation, to see you and Eternal Polaris claim up to become one of the best racers. But also this giving some draw attention to, especially what happening here. There might be some rival that actually wants to win you so bad, not only from racing but also giving you some bad rumor. And probably this is the reason why we also have Rumor Writer. And actually kinda like, I wanna ask, why are you using that smoke screen, huh?
I won't let anyone touch my car. But seems like then others. But just be careful. Your presence at Setsuko is kinda disrupted. But I can help you as long as you keep my secret too. Anyway, that's all I have to say to you.
Alright, thanks for responsive, Nicole. Eventually, the appearance of you is definitely draw some attention to all this, as now all the rifle is actually try to have some fun racing, but you actually have to race against 7 rifle. We have the returning of every little body warrior, Subasuwa Strong also return, also Playful Gentleman wants to give some amazing driving skill of him also in the racing, you know. And also we have Rumor Writer actually kinda like, we already know the reason why she also sprays some smoke right there, but also wants to have some fun race. We also have Trance Drive also return once again to actually giving you some fun excitement. And also we have the Raceman himself, Tornado of Love. We win as a team, but we really get a chance to actually racing one of the best. And he wants to give a one more final push with Rising Seaman. Also wants to give that amazing swan song 1 versus 7 between you player and this amazing new generation racer. But then after that fun 7 racer, we actually have a new racer that actually wandering around this new generation. First we get Money Dream. Her real name is Ann Shirosaki as a professional racer. With calculating personality, she has swept numerous races for prizes money as freelance racer. Outside the track obviously. In addition, looks at the frequent media coverage, her fame is rapidly rising even outside. He definitely wants to actually have some famous, outside and inside the track. She actually has the attitude of read the floor, allowing her to choose the optimal driving regardless of the course condition, making her highly adaptable to accident. Her dream is to build a large garage to display cars and admire them. Definitely wants to appraise, herself, obviously. But then we have Stubborn Strike. His real name is Itetsu Sakai as a carpenter, a man with not out like a sharpened blade. Even so, he deeply loyal to his brand. Tastefully customized the draw card of the machine, but for a straight up speed duel because he just wants to become one of the fast. He doesn't have a brain and he just basically wants to care like, I want to become the fast as rough as possible. Since the battle with Eternal Polaris, once again this girl is actually named, they recognize each other as a rival in chasing for the ultimate speed. So why are I actually talking about these two? Well, that's because that these two is actually approaching us, but not in such a good way. Like here in this chat right here between the Stubborn Dream and Money Dream, they actually kinda like feel mad. Maybe you don't see their faces because the mysteriousity, but Money Dream definitely call you a scumbag because they actually kinda like wanna try Eternal Polaris to actually do something bad. So this is definitely give us some kinda like a bad omen. So let's talk about this girl. Yes, Hikaru Kudo, Eternal Polaris, the woman that actually gave many different vibes to many racers about her appearance. She's pretty much unknown, alone, whether due extreme or some other reason. She speaks very little except the mysterious aura. In fact, she is so famous that I can actually find a lot of fan art about her. Here it is. It's like a lot, even the spicy one, but I'm not gonna show it. And let's talk about how amazing Eternal Polaris is. And actually, I wanna chat with Hikaru here herself. Tell me about yourself. Oh, she didn't say anything. Okay. I guess right now she's pretty much unknown. So, the mysterious girl wanna encounter Shuto Expressway has challenged many racers of the new generation. But of course, she also have like a one attention, which is obviously you. So, Okay, Hikaru, I wanna ask you one more time. Why are you actually racing around this place,
I like to drive fast. It makes me feel alive. But it's not about winning. It's not about being the fastest or the best. It's about the drive itself. About finding the right moment, the right stretch of road, the right car, the one that speaks to you in a way no one else can. That's why I race.
But then after her amazing skill in the Tokyo Expressway, somehow she actually get encountered by Bad Bomber. Looks like this guy is pretty much really mad about Eternal Polaris, so you can kinda say that he is actually one of the antagonists, but more like antagonist in such a scumbag way. They are the one that actually bribing about, like you actually do something, and they are one of the member of the group Garuda, obviously, Oh, eventually, Eternal Polaris is come back with R35, and seems like he wants to actually fix all the mistake that what's happened lately, So, tell me, Eternal Polaris, why is the reason why you want to change to R35 though?
The R33 was my first car that taught me rail racing in Shutoko. In such flamboyant way it is that I want to become better. So I changed to R35 not because to be fastest, but to be better racer than I was before.
When she returned with the R35, she also getting a little bit disrupted by the Money Dream and Stubborn Strike. But eventually, after we race with 3 of them, Eternal Polaris is actually trying to forgiveness about both of them. And eventually, it's time for you to race with her. Eventually, the Eternal Polaris returned with the R35, and this time he actually makes some really nice upgrade. And do you wanna know something unique? Her name is Hikaru Kudo, and seems like in her bio, as you can see before that, she actually have some kind of like a special relationship or special connection with the legendary tuner. I wonder why though. Even though he only appeared in the legendary tournament on the PA and not racing anywhere, they kind of like close, and actually she got a special tuning up and driving the R35 as one of the most amazing car and the meta car in this game. Obviously Hikaru Kudo actually wants to achieve everything that actually she wants to become one of the best in such a clean way. So obviously you actually race up against her one by one after getting interrupted. And so after that, after you race with Eternal Polaris, she wants to say something.
Ever since I met you, I want to become fast as you. And looks like I could enjoy it just like you. So I will go faster with my own team. Then soon I'll race you again and become faster. Promise me.
And now we have the Snake Eye, but seems like you kinda say that this Snake Eye is kinda different, because he actually used a Supra instead of the Mark IV Supra here. The new leader of the Reborn Phantom 9, the only strong and absolute ruler. And definitely he has like a grudge with obviously his art nemesis Swift Emperor, and his obsession and thirst for victory are beyond ordinary comprehension, with that kinda like a really badass looking attitude Yankee man of a 25-year-old. In fact, hey Snake Eye, why you actually have some grudge with Swift Emperor? Can you tell us about it?
I'm one of the best here. My experience with true Snake Eyes will absolutely demolish him no matter what. I am the best at Shutoko. You better remember that.
And now we have the new guy. Yes, we have Ren Tennoji. This is definitely the Swift Emperor that we're talking about, but yeah, this is not the Jintei that you expect actually. This is actually the main character that actually you play in the Import Turno Challenge game back then, in 2007. Definitely many years racing to battle Swift Emperor previously, but he's elusive and rarely appears in public. The fact that he accepts Snake Eye challenge the C1 is pretty much really unique though. And eventually, they kinda like met up each other, So, you know what, I'm actually gonna ask to Ren, why you do this, why you actually racing with Snake Eye?
I just want to show that I'm the best here, and I gladly accept any challenge, even if the Kinder X come back. Cause my speed, a Swift Emperor from my previous experience will tell all about it.
Eventually, after that, we actually managed to beat both of them in the normal form, but seems like Snake Eye here is such a sore loser and actually want to race with up again with that Phantom 9 Supra or BMW Mark 5, Obviously, he wants like a revenge of the bastard, here. When he was in America, he lived aimlessly without dream or goals, or venting his frustration on the street. His exceptional talent as a driver discovered by the predecessor Snake Eye, giving him a goal of defeating. Since then, he has obsessed with the idea of the winning everything, Yeah, you can kinda say from his definitely attitude, You can kinda say that he's pretty much like a secret, a secret student that Snake Eye actually told, because Snake Eye is actually one of the main character of the third game, the TXR3 or TXR01. Since then, he has been obsessed with the idea of the winning is everything, excel, precise vehicle control, and is at the best in the area of many corner. So you can kinda say that he's definitely really like the C1 of the new belt line, obviously, But yeah, after we raced against them, he definitely still feels like a sore loser and definitely wants to give up on the racing, And definitely wants to show that he's the best. And of course, Ren Tennoji actually returned again. 4 years ago, like I said before in the previous game, he was actually the one that actually beat the OG Swift Emperor. He constantly seeks speed beyond the limit, matching the incredible power. So in between the previous game, the Import Turno Challenge, and now, you can kind of say that they actually have some kind of like a advancement of it, obviously. And the new Jintei, in my opinion, as a player, obviously, is kind of like a nice addition to giving us the new modern era, that. And yes, he definitely gave everything he had. The new throne is actually belongs to you. But of course, apart from that, Swift Emperor admit the loss. But of course, Snake Eye is definitely still wants to actually beat Swift Emperor. He just like couldn't admit the loss between you and the loss between Swift Emperor, You can kind of say that the nemesis between this rival and of course with Eternal Polaris with us player will never end until whatever happen around the later stage of the Tokyo Xtreme Race. Oh, what you look at that, man? Looks like Legendary Thunder is actually come out and play. Oh, but he is actually the one that actually helping us for racing in the Setsuko battle. Why he actually returned, Well, turns out he was actually a previous racer in the olden days, but seems like we don't know that literally in the previous game. But after see the Ford Nova in the new era, Snake Eye with that Supra or the BMW, Swift Emperor, Eternal Polaris, and us as a player, he wants to actually give us one more challenge, to actually give us how True Speed achieved with his, oh my god, look at that, man, that freaking GTR, and his name is Tetsuya Kudo. Why his surname is similar with Hikaru Kudo though? Probably his uncle or his dad. But apart from that, recently encountering the new era, definitely right now actually wants to give us some kind of like a true challenge, And eventually after you beat him, it's obviously not the end, because of course this is Tokyo Xtreme Racer from Genki, and they definitely gonna give you like extra rifle or extra challenge after that, obviously. Beside the Wanderer, and even some new rifle that you actually have to up against. But of course we cannot mention the freaking 400 kilometers machine that you actually have to race before that. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, just look at that car, man. This is definitely such a trait for like a secret boss after you actually race against every rifle. Didn't actually expect that the one that helping you a lot in the parking area is actually the enemy. Now, you see, after you race up against all the racer here, we still have one more racer to race, which is Record Zero. Now, this record car is definitely such a phantom menacing machine, like Record Zero here, based on the Tokyo Xtreme Racer Zero. But also, we have Tokyo Xtreme Racer 3 record called Record 01 is actually. In that game, you can kind of say that this is definitely a representation of Unknown, since in that game, Unknown is actually not exist, the blue menacing S30, And then of course we got the Record X, which is evidently based on the Tokyo Xtreme Racer X or Import Tuner Challenge. This is such an interesting addition to actually give you like a really menacing, like this is actually a true phantom speedy machine that you have to up against. Now we're moving on to the Wanderer, and I'm gonna tell you about Wanderer as brief as possible because the 1 hour duration. Masafumi Takayunigi, circus performer with a BB. Next up we get Master Position, Hiromi Onoda, recruiter with a 350Z. Definitely really like to glaze all the women, especially innocent lady, Recently often drive without female passenger, kinda sad. And then we got Silent Barbarian, real name Ryo Gushiken, Yakiniku restaurant manager. Because he's Yakiniku managing, he actually becoming really famous to all the street racers that wanna eat in their places. Fusao Teranishi, known as Green Walchard with the RX stake, working as a fresh produce distribution company employee, growing up in area with little stop and go traffic, and he's definitely avoiding battle opening the car in a body contact. Next up we got Stormstream Ranma Akashi, salesman. Despite he's a salesman, he also actually kinda like have a scare with his family also in the racing outside the race. Next we get Garage Haru Kaburagi, successful in tuning up performance here. As the brand grows, he can no longer tune every car himself, but which is finally disappointing with that Supra. Next we get Shibo Kitazawa 2000cc, Satoshi Hoshino as a salaryman. Definitely has a similarity on it. He showcased spectacular drift in corner, but he's slowly driving kinda like makes him kinda slow, Then we got Setochi Noodle Artisan Hiromichi Otamon Udon Chef with that Nissan Sylvia K Aero, He has significant driving skill of Kagawa. Up next, we got the Devil Road Run, Mao Midorino, self-proclaimed demonic queen. Now, she is definitely a reference to another Genki game that they released, Devil Road Run. And yes, she's definitely a special edition from the Genki itself, You wanna race with her, get a 666 kilometer. And she's definitely such a fast purple gremlin that always claimed that she likes some kind of like a satanic, but also kind of like a fun demonic queen. Kind of have the charm. Next we got Mami Nishima, professional tennis player as a lonely nihilist. However, it's like a high-speed endurance, so she become honing her blocking technique. So she definitely such a really like a slow but also menacing racer in silent. Next, we're going to another miscellaneous White Leopard of Yokohama, Takumi Utsumi, lumber distributor. Daddy is playing on the Stuto Expressway, forcing him to confess the truth. So he basically actually won a race, in the Stuto while actually keeping the secret of the family. We get Win of Napoli driving an Auto Works, Frederick Nasseri, a part-timer. Now he's actually kind of have like a Italian speaking thing, but his Italian speaking is not that great actually. And next up we got the Perfect Revolution, Toshihiko Kaneshiro, Waterworks employee, a seeker, beautiful driving prioritize a dove of the victory, After losing a certain racer dominating Stuto Expressway, he refined the technique to combine his beauty of the racing. Comedic disruptor, Akinari Katsumata, home appliance store owner. Now he's definitely such a nice guy, however he is no match for his wife, frequently complains about the lack of large domestic appliance. Apparently because the neon, Then we got Shonan Affair, Soichi Jumbo, professional server, Fastest Shonen, Legend of the Ruto 134, Mountain Passes and Circuits. Focus on the serving, running his copy, although his Shonen these days kinda like make him less driving. Next up we got Jet Skater Keiji Endo, a sport instructor and actually a former Olympic speed skater driving a 180 SX. Currently dedicated to organizing managing sports event beside the Suto. Next up we got Technician Ono, Masahiro Ono driving school instructor. I guess he also have another job besides racing, but also like wants to tell that here's how you drive properly in the street. Unbalanced Ishii, Satoshi Ishii, garden shop manager. There are various speculation about him actually kind of like look older, but he probably kind of like aging kind of like too much, you know. However, sometimes he push beyond limit and make him kind of like unbalanced machine with that Sylvia. Next up we got Last Flight Tomohiro Yoshizaki, international pilot in the RX-7, focusing obviously in the aerodynamic, you know, actually applying his like a plane style into the Shutoko Racing Expressway. Then we have Tragic Matterhorn, Yosuke Chiba Mountaineer, influenced by his father. He has a strong attachment with the Z and his beloved Z33. And yes, because of that, if you want to race with him, you have to get also a Z33. Next up, we got Maki Tanimura, known as Impatient Princess with Land Evo 5. She actually a daughter of a nice famous bank owner, which is his dad, but sadly during the lifetime his dad passing away, and now she become wondrously wandering around, questioning her life by racing, you know, to actually give a sense of like a solidify and calmness, you know, to actually calm her down through her rough time as a princess. Next up we got the interesting man, highway gambler Keiichi Kadomasu, working as a gambler. And yes, he definitely really likes gambling all the time. He sacrifices 180 with his BB obviously. If you want to race with him, you actually have to collect 7777777 GB, which is a very a lot of money, but yeah, he's definitely live up to his name as a highway gambler. Next up we got Raspberry Kishiho Yasuya, actress, you know. Like following an interview with Cinderella, so now in his 30, he actually prefer a car with a flashy aero kit. I guess because she actually wants to show that that your car looking so flamboyant, it makes me turn on. That's why she likes some aero style looking car, and that is basically the reason why you can race with her. Now let's go rapid to another wonderland. We have craftsman Manabe, Akira Manabe, a promising young potter now in his 30, driving a Nissan Fairlady 240Z, you know, regaining his former brilliance with his car. Next up we got Gold License Osamu Takamura, a sales representative with a Daihatsu Copen obviously. Really interesting. Indomitable Alexander, Indomitable Tomoyasu Higuchi, driving a Nissan Skyline GTR V-Spec 2 of the R32. A really nice instructor obviously for him. Serving Umibozu Toshihiro Kawara, harboring in the garage with his 4-wheel drive. He changed it with a unique Honda S60 concept actually. Features a balance setting obviously to give that agility with that car, just like when he's serving. Next we got Yusuke Nakaya, a custom shop owner of the Snow Dancer, his nickname. A street racer from Hokkaido, Nagoya, and now moving on to the Shutoko. He really likes all the drivers that are using a custom color that he never seen. Then we have Kumamoto license plate, a Yasuo Nita, his real name, delivery driver, his occupation. Definitely likes driver that actually come from his hometown Kumamoto, just like his name. Strongest Mami, Mami Masuda, April Shot Clarker, a charismatic sales girl driving a freaking Honda Beat actually, adores her lemon yellow ride that pops brilliantly throughout delivering limited lenses. Next we got Google Green, a really nice looking woman of Yumiya Hirosaki as a sports instructor. She often sports a subtle smile while driving as well. Next up we get Jan Dojima, coffee shop employee, a self-proclaimed coffee with a mysterious figure. In fact, both her HR name are false. 53-7 when it refers means lie. So you can basically tell that she actually such a secret woman that actually don't want to know about everything else. Even if the man actually can drive her and actually can please her, she actually try to actually like think about the lies, you know. Just kidding, man want to be the first man, right? And that is why he's so mysterious, you know. And now we're going to Gentle Examiner Yu Osanai with the Civic Type R, working as a chicken sexer, you know. He loves cooking, but why are working as chicken sexer? Next up we got Mountain Man, Ayumu Yamague, mountain porter driving a really unique Toyota FG Cruiser. This is definitely a car that you never see in a lot of Shutoko obviously. Next up we got Flying Fish of Shuto Expressway, Mizuki Uminari, working as a competitive swimmer. Now, rumors say that he drive his car even like that, you know, like he's literally barely bare-chested, you know, driving. Kokoro Sumiki, helper robot, working as a handyman, and he definitely likes to race with a guy that also using a Yaris to appreciate like his driving style as well. Next up we got Red Storm, Yuta Takashi as a bodyguard, formerly part of the Japan Ground Girl Self, you know, and he definitely wants to shy away from minor contact. He definitely don't mind to have some heat. Roulette Guy is Set Miromoto, professional racer. He gained experience from Roulette Guy number 1 and number 2. Through his just opening fact for no number 1 and number 2 of Twin Strategy, he definitely showed his skill from that car. Next up we got Lonely Wolf Kosuke Fukumoto, a pediatrician. He excelled in leading battles with acceleration focus machine in such a lonely meaning. Next up we got Steel Triangle Koji Ikejiri, metal working technician with LAN Evo 5. Seems the curves of the corner remind you of metal working parts. Next up we got God Ear Hajime Jimbo, a coffee shop owner, you know. He loves naturally aspirated engine sound but dislikes loud exhaust obviously. Then we have Ghost Sao Naoya Masuyama, advertising agency employee. His only solace is proud of FC3's struggle aging and difficulty obtaining of that. Now we're going to Mr. Ensuka Masahiko Nagatsuka, manga magazine editor. As a narcissistic character who pursued beauty, he used to see Team Infinity as his rival, but now he to focus maintaining about the care about the others. Fire legend Eiji Muto, an F1 engineer design actually behind that Fair Lady Z, obviously, you know. Recently the rarity L series engine are difficult to find, so obviously you wanna drive with L. FD Tomo-san, Tomohiro Ichikawa, self-employed guy that actually really likes FD, that he only wanna race with FD alone. Yeah. And then next we have local richman Shonemoto, company employee the driver S2000. He enjoys cruising freely in his car, which is tuned for cornering. Eiji Matsuda, Toyototsu Speedster, sushi chef with that Nissan Skyline HT, you know, driving as solid as expected as imagined. Next up we got something fun, Yuta Kubo, multimedia producer with that Civic Type R FK2. He definitely like a car with some crazy looking vinyl around it. And then we got Chick Spring, George Kotohira, apparel buyer, you know. And so however this time for Dark Knight Beetlejuice, he promotes the idea that cars are part of one fashion of that. Ooh, and then we have this guy, Hydro Drift Ninja, Nanimaru Mochizuki, as a ninja obviously. He is definitely used the battle to train the spirit and obviously wants to become really fast as Shadow, you know. And he only races with rival that actually has a Sega number plate. He wants to be mysterious even in the battle obviously, especially ninja in modern days. And now we're moving on to Lady Lightning. Riko Fukuzawa is a seminar lecturer in the Civic Type R FL5. His driving is formidable with the presence of C1 course with the darting acceleration and sharp cornering. Next up we got one bridge surgeon, Daiki Hitosubasi, part-time university lecturer, driving that Mark X with that, you know. Mystic Barber, Shizua Baba, Barber, is driving a Celsior and he basically just, you know, likes to beard it 20 men in 5 minutes. Loyal Knight, Yasunari Yagashi, automotive photographer, and he definitely like a driver that driving a purist car without any modification actually. Next up we get Michiaki Mikatahara, known as Tuesday Big Teacher. And just like for that, his car only appear in Tuesday if you want to race with him. Then we get Spirit Kiriko Kurohane, occult counselor. Now rumored that her mystical presence actually make everyone that race up against her, if they lost, never return. Now we got Lightspeed Courier, Kazundo Ban, delivery business with that super scuff looking Impreza, a heavily modified car that really fast. Then we got True Slide with Hiroki Itsuki driving a Fair Lady Z. But upon learning his idol Melancholic Angel returned to the Expressway, he wanna make his own comeback. Then we got Hard Weapon Toshiko Takashi, military shop owner with Chaser, that in the previous game he actually driving a Mitsubishi Lancer before and actually a former member of the 13 Devil. But seems like he actually returned back again with a Chaser again, and he as close as brother with Bloodhound who grew up with him in same facility of that military. Then we got Wailing Pluto, Takashi Uchida. He is known as driving a freaking you know, look at that, anime livery Subaru Impreza in the Street Supremacy PSP. But now he returned again with the Subaru as a liquor wholesale business owner. They actually racing without using a nitro beverage and actually get some tune with legendary tuner in this modern era actually. Then we got Midnight Silver Wolf, Tatsuya Fukuda. And let me tell you, this guy is really unique. In the older game, he actually driving a freaking Night Rider, especially in this Street Supremacy PSP. Then eventually making return for some reason in the freaking Nissan R33 in Drip Spirit for some reason, you know. But apart from that, he's still welcoming to actually return back again in this modern era as an appliance repair technician and actually have old acquaintance with Cinderella past midnight before, you know, as one of the 4 Divas member right there. So this is a really nice return for Midnight Silver Wolf actually to actually come back with the 370C. And he only wants to race with the driver that actually has a clean cornering 5 times. Next up we got Ryota Goto Tortoiseshell Mask, aluminum sash company employee driving a Nissan GTR right there. A very menacing guy, you know. Bayshore Sheriff Toshimicho Honjo, a vintage shop owner. But when he opens his mouth, he talks a lot. He calls machine his steer. But he insists on being martial, however, even though he's looking like a sheriff guy, you know. Next up, we get King of Spades, Kazuya Haitani, a surgeon that shrouded in mystery demanded from the patient, driving a Honda NSX NC1. He's definitely a reminiscent to Tatsuya from Wangan Midnight obviously, and you have to crash in Ginza Pillar with 30 million health in battle. Next we get Kawagawa Handsome, Soichi Subochi, professional racer with a Toyota Supra with a Mr. Kawagawa. He only show up if you actually win 358 rifle, which is mean you actually have some 380 rifle, sorry man. You actually have a lot of experience to actually race up against this funky looking Toyota Supra. But apart from that, this is definitely such a really unique and such a over the top livery of that Toyota Supra right there, showing you that he's like a professional racer that need professional treatment of that. And of course, after you beat Kawagawa Handsome, you have his apprentice Yokohama Cutie right there that actually appeared with the Toyota Yaris, a professional racer as well at a kart competition. When she was a 10, she won the competition, and eventually, shared condolence, she ended up working the same time as Kawagawa Handsome. But of course, she likes a cute stuff with her car, I mean, her name is Omoichi with that freaking dog right there in the Toyota Yaris. Call her car a freaking My Angel. A very unique yet cute menacing car. Next up we get Flower Seller Talo Ryoichi Ogo, office worker. He actually a former fastest time attack record on C1, but if you don't know, based on the real story, he actually died in that incident, apart from that 8 years ago. So this is kind of like a tribute for him with that car, He was driving a Hachiroku in real life, but eventually he passed away probably outside the C1, so they want to give this a tribute with that Boxer Supra. Next up we got Cyberdem Masami Kurosaki, president of electronic manufacturer, and do you know, she is actually the auntie of the Kurosaki brother right there actually. So this is such a unique treatment to actually added her as the the auntie of the Kurosaki brother right here between Iron Old Man and Crimson Boy. He wants to join Phantom 9, but eventually she doesn't want to do that because it's not his style. Next up we got Wataru Tachi, the iconic white charisma himself and a long-time rival with Unrivaled Emperor, which if you don't know, it's the OG Jintei. Yeah, he's definitely the charisma guy with that Mazda RX-7. Appear in the older games like here in the PSP, and I have to say I really like his look in the freaking ITC, and then also making a weird collaboration with the Drift Spirit. And now he actually returned back with the freaking RX-7. If you wanna race against him, you have to get some consecutive wins. And then you have Toshihiko Koinji, company executive. In pursuit of the revenge, he went by the name Snake Eye, but obviously Silver Nobleman is definitely wants to actually get some revenge of the Phantom 9 driving that Mazda RX-7. Appeared actually also in the previous game, the ITC Battle X, and now he appeared again. You can say he is pretty much like the counter side of the Wataru Tachi White Charisma. You want to race with him, you have to beat 45 rival teams. And yes, he definitely want to show the fastest theory of driving. Just like, Ryosuke. Ah yes, Hajime Hisanada, Revenge Eye, the true Snake Eye. Here is the man that you probably think it's the Snake Eye, and he is. He actually returned as an older man, definitely have a grudge, as you can see right here, finally came 5 years ago, lost in the Series Central. He went to become the King Speed to stand the start of the Macro, went to America to polish the skill, and eventually come back to actually race up against the man himself, Jintei, which is back then in the ITC known as the King Speed, and obviously the main character in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer 3. And then forming it a Phantom 9 to become kind of like the equivalent of the 13 Devils in the older era, where Jintei also is like one of the rival, And then obviously seeing you or in that game was actually Ren Tennoji as like up against him. So this is basically Ren Tennoji before him, In the older game, he actually come with the Toyota Supra Mark IV. But of course, in the modern era, he became much more like timid, but still wants to actually tease the true skill of the new generation. And now, as the new nickname Revenge Eye, return again with that red and purple 1000 horsepower known as the Revenge Eye Supra Mark IV machine. You wanna race against this guy? You have to get 35 consecutive wins. Doesn't matter how you get it, but you actually have to prove yourself for that. And of course, the man himself, Motoya Iwasaki, the man that reached the Swift Emperor, the legend himself, the main character of the TXR2, and eventually becoming many iconic bosses in the later game. As you can see here, appear in the Tokyo Xtreme Racer 0 here, becoming a nemesis with Purple Meteor, and then in Tokyo Xtreme Racer 3 right here with that blue iconic car, and then appear in many different bosses, beating all the racers even becoming a weird looking 27-year-old in the PSP for some reason actually in the bio, then on the circuit in the racing battle C1 GP, and then in the Toge for some reason with the Super Impressor because of nice grip, then eventually come back as a King Speed, which is at the ITC. He actually had some kind of like a crisis identity, but he don't want to race again. But then eventually the appearance of you, which is obviously you play as Ren Tenoji, making him want to come back racing again with his Subaru Impreza. Then finally as a Phantom Master, you actually come back again. You actually have a chance to race with him again. Obviously he will be appear after you battle against the Snake Eye. I have to say his Skyline is one of the craziest, man. Like, this thing have 1100 horsepower, man. What a beast, you know. And kinda nice to see that Raven's Eye and Unrivaled Emperor return together, chatting together, reminiscing the old era to see the new generation actually wandering around in this new generation Shutoko battle. And now we have Unknown. Well, what can I say about this guy? He's Unknown. Appear in a blue nightmarish machine, driving 400 km without anything else. The silhouette right there is just probably a representation of how Unknown maybe look like. Is he a man? Is he a woman? Is he has an occupation? I don't know, man. But apart from that, the Unknown that actually appeared from the PSP and onwards until to this one is actually a second generation of the Unknown. In 2025, his car is definitely reminiscent to that one midnight character that you already know, driving a Devil Z.
So there you are, explanation about Tokyo Xtreme Racer Lore by me as a person that really enjoying Tokyo Xtreme Racer for probably the last 5 years. I really engage with this franchise because it's one of the most my favorite franchise of this game actually, and I really wanna expand and actually tell about the lore of the character, especially in this first video, the Wanderer and the Boss. And also I would like to thank you to Mindbase, the one of the inspiration that actually want me to actually make this amazing lore, because seriously if you want much more in-depth lore, go to the channel Mindbase, And of course I have to thank also to all the voice actors that actually involved that I will gonna mention in the credits in this one. And also I want to thank you about you watching this yapping video about Tokyo Xtreme Racer Lore. Okay, so if you want the next one, I'm just gonna set 1000 view. If this video don't get 1000 view, I'm not gonna make the second one unless if I actually have a mood. So that is about the Tokyo Xtreme Racer Lore about me. I'm Maxy and enjoy the credits. See ya!